promises were made, but made with lack of preparation.
Ran it back.
Trying to figure out how to hold this. Okay. Hey YouTubies, I'm Violet Express, and oh my fudge balls. It's been a very, very long minute, and it's been an even longer time since anybody has seen the room that I'm sitting in. Massive apology, honestly, to anybody who's watching, anybody who cares, because I popped in here back in 2023 and was acting like I was gonna just do a whole like comeback on my channel, and that obviously did not happen. And as you can see, my channel has become very sparse. I went through and like cleaned up everything. I'm saying this like there are people who like actually monitor my channel like that, and I'm pretty sure there isn't, but in the event, my bad. Needless to say, I have decided to do a massive reboot. But first, I need to have a little therapy session, reflection, and just, some like reminiscence. So just like sit down, just like whatever. If you care, just like, yeah, just sit down for a second. Also, please let me know if this new mic situation is just like not working. I'm trying to I found this really nifty like microphone at Amazon, bro. Definitely gonna be using it for like my podcast projects later. So I remember what it was like when I first started this channel. It started all the way back in middle school, but my clearest memories are in high school and after. There wasn't really an after, but whatever. And I remember that thrill of editing videos, filming them, like posting them out and everything, and actually getting like some kind of response from them, whether it be like from my friends, my family, or just people who just somehow I just somehow got in their algorithm. I loved putting out art videos. I loved putting out the little film projects that I did. I'm looking at you, straight out of Soundtown. I am never taking that video down. Stuff that connected to my outside like writing endeavors, like all of that stuff. Any response that I got, it was marvelous. I just wanted to showcase the gifts that I knew God gave me, and I wanted to set up my own platform and show that this kind of thing was possible, that you could like showcase it. You didn't have to be nervous about it. I'm shaking in my boots right now. And for a time I saw that it was working. Like I had strangers coming up to me at Westlake asking me if I was Violet Express on YouTube. I had a few stragglers just like in the street. They would see me at the store or something and just be like, I think I've seen you online before. Like I thought I was the shit. And I can definitively say that I was the shit. And I still am. But it's taken time for me to get back to that thinking. I really had it in my mind that I was going to be the next big personality on YouTube. Like I was going to be on some Liza Koshy or Swoozy or Super. Oh my God. Literally my VE gang sign that I do inspired by Lily Singh. What? Lily sign. Superwoman, inspired by her Superwoman-esque hand symbol. But I got lazy, stopped building my portfolio, like setting up a digital footprint like I initially wanted to do. I basically didn't create a creative brand before subscribing to the trends that I saw online. And I felt like this huge pressure to just hit big and just pop off. And it wasn't just stuff that I was seeing online. It was majorly things that my friends would be seeing. Their opinions meant the world to me. And I just wanted to make content that they would vibe with, that we could talk about whenever we got to school the next day. I even tried to put them into the channel. I wanted us to be like the next Vlog Squad. I'm not even gonna hold you. I really wanted, because we had like a head count of like 20 plus or something. We were pretty known at like Westlake. We were like that dorky like kind of like tribe and everything. It was like the cool nerds, I should say. And I thought that we were pretty funny. So, and we always said that we would get an apartment and just create in there, and we would like live there. And now I'm living in a time where I don't even know what the hell Vlog Squad is doing anymore. Are they alive? Needless to say, between like stalling on making work, waiting on my friends to like make skits and like write scripts and everything so that we could build some kind of like brand online, and then the BS that high school threw at me left and right, I got stupid creators block. I didn't feel like making content anymore. I didn't feel like looking at this channel. And I used the excuse of thinking, man, maybe I just outgrew it. Maybe, that was just like a time or something. And I'm just like, I'm not with it like that anymore. Knowing damn well I really did. Like this was, I loved this channel and I loved the feeling of pressing that upload button. It was crack. I just didn't want to put in more work than I was already doing. And I wasn't doing that much, but I was wrestling with some demons later on in high school. I didn't want to add on to any more pressure and have a premature crash out, which I did anyway, but we'll get to that. But I know that I wanted to make content because I genuinely wanted to showcase the beauty of senior year, new beginnings and longevity of friendship, and just make a web series, honestly, of like moving through this creative journey with like the best people around for me at the time. And then very suddenly, I didn't have those people anymore. Everything that I thought was important, everyone that I prioritized really over my own like self-care, like self-assurance, they just disappeared. Just as Fault in Our Stars wrote, I felt that damn. I fucked that up before I could even. I felt the bad vibes the way that you fall asleep slowly and then all at once. I had no drive for artwork or really like anything creative outside of schoolwork. I was glued to my phone 25/8, still kind of am. Sorry, mom. My sister, who honestly, that's like my other half. She left home really for the first time in a big way for basic training. Junior year was kicking my ass. I don't care what anybody says. Junior year, high school wise, for me, no. Senior year was creeping up on me. I don't even have to explain the kind of pressure that entails. I had no clue what I wanted to do, which is normal. And to top it all off, I was cutting off friends left and right. Them early days kind of, I was cutting people off left and right. Mind you, my friends and their love of my channel gave me like 85% of the inspiration that I had to continue it. I just got a text message. They were really the only ones that I had in my ear asking me, when are you posting again? When are you gonna do this? When are you gonna blah, blah, blah? And all of a sudden I didn't have any of them. Add a very premature traumatic experience, a pandemic, and a lot of political bullshit from like 2016 to 2020 that has somehow like rekindled into 2025. Won't go deeper than that. All of that combined, it's safe to say your girl was not studying, trying to revive what little this channel had turned into. But God prevailed, just as he always does. And I took my shaky mental out of that period. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to pursue art because all of this like twists and turns and shit, like all that be damned. I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to revamp myself in college. And I will happily be the only one in my high school graduating class to go to this school. And I did that shit. And may I just say, hallelujah. College, significantly better than high school. There were a lot of people in my graduating class who slipped out of college like a year in. Either were not feeling it or they had like other things going on. I loved college. I had issues. Everybody has issues. But on God, I would do that experience all over again. To make matters worse, I had a lot more freedom than I did in high school, which is crazy because I would still say like I had the most freedom in high school. I didn't have like all I had was schoolwork. But in college, I'm like, my schedule was lighter. Course load here and there got heavier. But for the most part, I had so much creative space and I had so much creative freedom and so much creative inspiration. But I wanted to leave every trace of high school behind. And unfortunately, I connected my channel to that. There were so many memories and so many things that I did on this channel that occurred while I was in high school. And I can understand my past self for honestly subconsciously wanting to do that because I wouldn't admit that shit to myself if I tried. But it cost me a lot of proactivity here. I admit most of the time I just wanted to live my life fully without the pressure of having to whip out a camera and be like, let me capture this. But in hindsight, I didn't have to do that. I just had to create art like I initially wanted to do on this channel. I didn't really have to vlog. I was just trying to copy people. And to double down on the regret for that choice, I started working in a lot of other creative realms from the ones that I already knew. I started cosplaying, I started acting, heavily creative writing. I worked with different art mediums. I learned how to print make. I worked with different editing formats. I moved to freaking Milan. You remember that? I was in the home of the friggin' Renaissance for 3.5 months. I experienced Fashion and Design Week. I vlogged all of that study abroad experience, the good and the bad. And I had it in my mind, like you saw 2 years ago, that was gonna be my comeback moment. That would be the jugular hit in everybody's throats that doubted me, and I would make my way back into the algorithm again. And that shit is sitting in my Google Photos staring at me like when? Because when I left Italy, I internalized a lot of how dreadful that departure was, as I do with literally everything dreadful in my life. And there were multiple elements that created that pain, honestly, for me, but it slowly presented itself to me. It wasn't something that I wanted to face like the second I got off the plane and got back in Atlanta. Like, that was an experience I had wished and prayed for a decade, actually. I was 12 when I decided that I would see Italy, Venice specifically, before I left this world. Then to know that the hype was warranted, that would end up being the best time that I had ever had in my life, because it's just like euphoric to know that this enormous risk that I took actually worked. It gave back parts of myself I didn't even register that God enlightened me with. I can't talk today. And then in the blink of an eye, it was over. I come home, I'm bombarded with awe from my family and my friends. And I'm not gonna lie, like, rightfully so, because as the baby of the family, you can imagine how dope that was. Like, I cannot hold you being the youngest of the family, and everybody is kind of like looking at you like, wait, where are you going? And then it ends up working and you come back and you have stories to tell. It's great. But I felt like there was a bigger culture shock in coming back home than it was stepping into a completely like foreign country, and English ain't the first language, and the monuments and the buildings and the architecture and everything is like so much different than in the States. I felt like I had whiplash when I first came back. And it has still been pretty hard coming to terms with how much work is demanded of me to have any sort of permanence in it again, to like, be able to go back. And especially now with all of the travel regulations and store, thanks so much to the big one. Not to mention the reality check of going back to American school, because I went to Italy in the second semester of my junior year. So I still had all of senior year to go in college. It was great. Also working at a 9-to-5 again, although the job that I had before I went on my study abroad experience, they kind of screwed me because they had me thinking that I could come back and that they would take me back. They didn't. Couldn't go back to work until the following fall. And my mom gave me a lot of grace before kicking my ass back into job hunting. And then there's also the nerves of senior year in college, just thinking like, okay, 4 years in the making, what the hell am I going to do with this art degree? Trying to make sure that I didn't peak by going to Italy, that wasn't just, like the highest point of my life, and looking for jobs that I could actually implement my degree into, not just, like a 9-to-5 job or something just to make a few bucks. And also, of course, putting so much pressure on myself to make everyone proud except for myself. So I got bitter. I started believing that it was too late for me, that the limelights, the high points of my life, I fumbled them. I screwed myself, and I'm not gonna amount to anything and all this bullshit. Simply because I didn't know what I wanted to do in the moment, which is normal. I was very aware of how far my arms could stretch in any industry that I desired, because like I said, I had gotten I didn't just become knowledgeable of, but I fell in love with so many different creative realms, and my mind was open to so many different things in college. But for the life of me, I could not just get out of my own way. After everything I'd endured, even with the stable and resourceful foundations that God has gifted me, I've been mortified to just trust him, to step out and learn more and work more and create more, and to dream and just show the world how much he loves me and how much he supports me. And Papa Jehovah didn't like that. He quite literally snatched my edges off. Quite recently too. So now I'm here, 23 years old, without a clue of what he has in store for me, and no choice but to just lay my fears at his feet and just start doing, because I'm tired of being stuck. And when I say that, I mean mentally stuck. The kind of stuck where you have 50 million paths to take, but you stifle yourself into only pursuing one because you think that you have to do one at a time, and then you say screw it, I can do all of them without ever actually honing and like molding a single one from the jump. So then you crash out, you procrastinate, you blame other people and slash or things for your inability to dip your toe in the water and just try. You deflect to the past to blame the future for trauma that has not even happened yet and probably never will. And you decide to settle into the peak that you were terrified of to begin with. That kind of stuck. I want to be the me that started this channel with a dream. I want to build on that dream for me and me alone. So I'm sorry if you thought that this video was going to be one of me giving all the answers for our age group, because it ain't. It's a video showing that I am starting my walk towards those answers, and I invite you to join me in that walk. One thing these kind of platforms have a tendency to do is paint the idea that whoever is sitting on this screen is absolutely perfect. They know exactly what they're doing. They have all their shit together. And that's not the case. I was looking at all those YouTubers when I was a kid and thinking that they found something and they just like jumped off of it, which could be true, but there was work that was done to get to that point. Sometimes it is sporadic. Sometimes God literally just dumped a blessing on top of you and you just like skyrocket over that. Most often than not, there is intent and there's a procedure to everybody's madness. And in thinking of the opposite, I put off on my channel. But someone wise, whose name I can't recall, once told me, you're 20. You're dumb as hell right now. And you're supposed to be. And for a second I was like, who the fuck are you? But after some time, those words really sunk into me. Sorry. And I kind of fuck with it. Because I can wholeheartedly say the Jordan that started this channel was leagues away from the spirit that you see before you. She didn't think that she was good enough, that she was given this like gift, and people said that it was cool, but that's all that would amount to. But then she graduated high school, magnet student, with honors, obviously, with a $100,000 scholarship to a top performing liberal arts school. She ended up driving herself all over the place after being terrified to get behind the wheel in a city like Atlanta, need I say more. She ended up surviving friendships and relationships that honestly should have friggin' drowned her, but God. She ended up risking everything to leave home for the first time. I was a commuter. I did not leave home to stay on campus. I still lived at home. She left home for the first time, went to a foreign country, studied in Europe, had the time of her life, and lived, and kept her credits. She ended up graduating on time with her art degree that she demanded herself to uphold. Graduated cum laude. What? And now she's hustling to support her creative endeavors. So yeah, I think she made it out okay. So if she succeeded, what the hell is 23-year-old Jordan gonna do? Stay tuned. Making sure this thing is still on. This is gonna take some getting used to. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody who has sent me my flowers and sent me like any congratulations, any love through this channel, through my Instagram, which you will most likely see more of me on anyway. I wish all of you guys the best. It is really tricky being in our generation and seeing so many of us online doing so many amazing things, doing so many just like powerful things, being successful, being freaking millionaires in their early 20s. It's pressure. It's a lot. But if you're in this kind of stage where you still don't know what you're supposed to be doing, I'm gonna co-sign on a lot of, spiritually inclined people and say that it's okay. Like, we're gonna figure this out. And even if we don't, if you don't stop trying, then you won't fail yourself. You guys, see you later.